Hi everyone. So this is a video about one of my articles on my website, idmworldwide.com, which stands for Israelite Diaspora Network. The title of the article is There are many black churches that spread doctrines of confusion. We must fix this. And here is a picture of one of the early black churches during the days of slavery. As we could see, you have the the sermon is being, as the black preacher preaches, is being supervised by, most likely, this was the plantation owner of the slaves at the time. And this happened a lot in many black churches. Not only that, but the early black churches had a heavily edited Bible that did not feature all the books that we currently can find in the King James Version. The King James Version itself is also missing books that we won't find in the Ethiopian Bible, which is the most complete. And then even in the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible itself does not feature all the books that you may find with the Beta Abraham, which is a secret tribe in Ethiopia, which has even more books than you would find amongst the Ethiopian Orthodox. So, you know, I'm just saying is that, the less books, the less information. And when it came to during the days of slavery, there, the Bible that the black preacher would read from was even more edited than the King James Version, which means they had even less information. And you can find this and, they have articles regarding the black preachers during the slavery times, their Bibles that they would use or that the white plantation owner would give them. So that mentality stuck with them. It stuck with a lot of black churches. I won't say all, but a lot of black churches. And it was prophesied that it would happen this way. Historically, black churches have played a major role, however, in the political, social, and profound organization of black people. But the glaring issue is the black community's spiritual advancement, which has been sacrificed through either unawareness or materialism. And I will go to Jeremiah 50, chapter 50, verses 6 through 7 to highlight this. It was prophesied, where it says, My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. What does this mean? So the shepherds being, it could be a pastor, it could be a cult leader, it could be just anyone who has influence over the masses. So these people who are normally, very great speakers, they are very eloquent. Their speech is able to uh, cause the people who follow them to be conformed to what their ideology is. That they will actually kill somebody. Some of them that become so devout, they will kill somebody over what they say. So these shepherds, they have caused a lot of our people in our community, the Israelites, to go astray. In that, as it says right here, they have even forgotten their resting place. These pastors, when you go to these black churches, how many of them are telling them, the people, okay, African Americans, you have fallen under the Deuteronomy 28 curses, and go over the Deuteronomy 28 curses to highlight the similarities that it talked about, the curses and all the oppression it would face. How similar is this to the conditions that you and your ancestors have gone through? Highlighting this to tell them who they are. Who are you in the Bible? Why are you going through this? This is where you come from. You are the Israelites. Your homeland is in Ethiopia. How many black churches do you see saying this? Hardly any. Again, this goes to the prophecy. They have forgotten their resting place, meaning that they would not even talk about the Israelites. A lot of times when you ask somebody who supposedly goes to church every Sunday, even goes to Bible study classes, even goes to, Sunday school, and, even goes to church on Tuesday or whatever, A lot of them don't even know who the Hebrews are. They don't know what a Hebrew is. They don't even know, the meaning of it. So when you say a Hebrew Israelite, they don't really understand unless you say the word Jewish. As soon as you say Jewish, then they'll understand. That is the cognitive dissonance. That is the wolf in sheep's clothing that has now come inside the church. And the church, I mean, inside of our people's hearts, inside of their minds, into their inner temple, and has set up their own ministry to mislead and send our people off into the wrong track. And when I say the wrong track, this track leads to hell. So that is what's happened, and that is what this verse is referring to. When you look at the 7th verse, you'll see where Japheth or the Gentiles come into play. It says, all that found them have devoured them, and their adversaries said, we offend not because they have sinned against Yah, Yah being the name of our Elohim, our God, the habitation of justice, even Yah, the hope of their fathers. So why I say Gentiles is that this right here, they taken part in something some people will call karmic retribution. And to explain it, this guy, he does a pretty good job of explaining it.
What are the statistical odds of repeated references to pedophilia being included in multiple advertisement campaigns for one particular brand? Basically, completely impossible. This is very, very purposeful, and they've done it because they're trying to give you hints and trying to normalize and show you and tell you what they do. They're doing this because of karmic retribution. Satanists believe if they tell you what they're doing, if they make their intentions clear and you still adhere to them, that they are no longer responsible for the negative consequences of them. That is karmic retribution. I'll give an example. If I have a stall of poisoned apples and I put up a sign that says apples and you buy one, I've poisoned you. But if I have a stall of poisoned apples and I put up a sign that says poison apples and you buy one, now you've committed suicide. I have not poisoned you, you have committed suicide. If you know what I am doing, if you know what I am selling, and you still comply and adhere, you are basically saying that all the consequences are erased. That's how karmic retribution works in the satanic world. They are making it extremely clear to you, on purpose, little by little, trying to show the world they are pedophilic, because that way they will not be punished in the eyes of their God for their crimes. This is not just strange, unusual, some kind of coincidence. No, this is elites telling you that they are absolutely and utterly pedophiles, and they are here to see if you are complicit in the actions themselves. Now that you understand that, the question is, what are you really going to do about it? Boycotting balenciaga is a fantastic start, sure, but it's the very, very tip of an iceberg, and it's a very, very deep and scary rabbit hole. And when you truly understand who is running the world, and you truly understand how fucked up this world is, then you're going to find out that a larger change than boycotting one particular brand is needed.
So I want to put that into perspective by hearing out what he was saying, because when that follows very much in line with what it says in Jeremiah 57. All that found them had devoured them, and their adversaries said, we offend not because they have sinned against Yah. Meaning that they put the blame on us. It's like at the end of the day, they were the ones that committed the sin. And then not only that, they put a book that has been edited so that certain books are missing, so that they have incomplete information. And we supervised it, but at the end of the day, it was one of their own that was spreading that information. They were sucking it all in. We just sat there and we just listened. They know what they were doing. And at the end of the day, they are still going to suffer the consequences. Those people that were there back in those days, they're likely burning in hell. They are burning in hell. If they aren't, then it's because, during the days of the final judgment when all the dead will be raised up again, and the book of life is open, and they find out that their name is not written in it, then they'll be cast into hell. So at the end of the day, their judgment is coming. They're going to get their deserves, but that's just the way they feel like can lessen the impact of their punishment. Is that okay? In the grand scheme of things, they were the ones that were accepting this information, this doctrine, and this belief. The point of it is that now this information is available that you can see through the lies. That now that you know the truth of the matter, what will you do? Will you still continue to fall into the doctrine of the churches? Will you still continue to follow into, like, his the one he was explaining was regards to Balenciaga, but when you look at Balenciaga, how it's had an impact on our people, wearing their clothing, wearing their fashions, repping them, taking part in their modeling campaigns and so forth. You know, you become responsible, as it says in this verse. There, then you are the ones that are sinning against the Most High. And I mention that because, even right here where it says, look at the words Baal, you know, the name is spelled Bal, but, they put symbolism and, try to put things in covertly, by having this subliminal messages. But it's there enough, that people are catching on to it and that you should be able to see through it. Because in the Bible, Baal has been a stumbling block to our people. It says in Jeremiah 19:5, they have built also the high places of Baal to burn their sons with fire for burnt offerings unto Baal, which I commanded not, nor spake it, neither came it into my mind. And then in Jeremiah 23:13, it says, and I have seen folly in the prophets of Samaria. They prophesied in Baal and caused my people Israel to err. And Baal again is spoken throughout the Bible as being someone that was a stumbling block, you know, a false deity, a false belief system, a false doctrine, a false ideology, however you want to see Baal as. The point is that it's prevalent in Babylon. It's prevalent in the society. How they put this culture up there, and he was referring to basically how, like, a lot of times in their marketing campaigns, they'll throw little tidbits of information like their connections to pedophilia and so forth. And it's like some of it tries to go, it can't really even go over people's heads now. They should be able to wake up and see it. I just want to highlight this one more with this.
Shoot done by the fashion. So about 10 days ago, as you probably remember, images surfaced from a photo shoot done by the fashion house Balenciaga. And that shoot included images of a young girl holding a teddy bear in bondage gear. The ads, a separate set, also contained an image of a Supreme Court opinion striking down a law against child pornography with the word sex visible. None of that was accidental. They're promoting something. What are they promoting? Well, the media weren't that interested, so they kind of ignored the story. But now the story's starting to get some coverage, but the coverage isn't critical of what Balenciaga did. The coverage in the New York Times is critical of anyone who notices what Balenciaga did. The New York Times just published a piece entitled, quote, when high fashion and QAnon collide. In other words, you're crazy. You're a QAnon person, probably a criminal if you notice. We're quoting. Two Balenciaga campaigns ignited a firestorm that traveled from the internet to Fox News, fueled by allegations that the brand condoned child exploitation. Why would you think that? Just because they were exploiting children in the ad. Images surfaced from
and it's kind of hard to see, but they have pictures. If you just go to like Balenciaga Gate and stuff like that, you'll see how there's a zoomed in photo of it. It's a little bit further harder to see, but let's see if I can. So you see right here, someone has zoomed in and they talk about, child pornography and so forth. They zoomed in, but these were pictures that were part of their photo op for their marketing campaign. You see a bunch of, terrible things, but I'm not going to go too much into it. I just wanted to just highlight that as an example of Jeremiah 57, how it's prevalent in all aspects of our society, how we deal with in the fashion world, in the clothing industry, when it comes to the education industry, when it comes to religion and just all aspects is prevalent. But to go back to the churches, the reason why I'm all highlighting this is that the churches are supposed to be our main funnel for information and knowledge, spiritual and physical, because it is the first place of organization. Because obviously we organize for the Most High. So, how many of the churches are going out telling people to watch out for these things? Hey, watch out for that. Don't get into that. Don't, partake in doing business with these organizations, because even though it may seem far off, it's not far off, because as I just showed, even a place like that you would think fashion is far away from spirituality, it references Baal, which is, an entity that is mentioned in our Bibles, our scriptures, the spiritual word. So obviously it is a connection, but yet to a lot of black churches, they may not think that that's important. So to go back, as it says, where it says the black churches should already know who the real Israelites are, you know, this is our spiritual advancement. And explaining this for our people to understand will cause a transformation in our community. The black church leadership should be serving the community, not just serving themselves. And that's why in 2 Timothy 4:4 it says, "And they shall turn away their ears from the truth and shall be turned into fables." What does 2 Timothy 4:4 mean? People will say just about everything is going to be okay. Just believe in Jesus. Go to church on Sunday and you'll make heaven your home. When are we going to tie in what the Bible speaks about to what is happening currently in present day? What is happening beyond just the church walls on Sunday service? Beyond what just this one person is doing when he gets home? What are we going to talk about these current events? Well, I'll tell you, that's not going to happen. You know why? Because a lot of churches, when they form their organization, they form under a tax bracket, which is an IRS code, which is the beast, the legal system of the beast, which is the 501c3. 501c4 gives you more freedom so that you could talk about what's going on in the world. But when you form under a 501c3, you are limited. It's not as if, like, when it comes to, like, with the Imperial Ethiopian World Federation, where it has a sovereign authority being under the royal Ethiopian family, which is, again, from the Ethiopian Crown Council, which is the Ethiopian constitutional monarchy interregnum. That is true sovereignty. But when you come with these 501c3 modern day black churches, they fall under the sovereignty of the United States Babylonian system. They cannot talk about what's going on modern day, current events and stuff like that. They are limited in what they can say because the 501c3 puts prohibitions on certain things when it comes to the freedom of speech, again, going back to right here, limitations on the freedom of speech, because they're constantly surveilling. I wouldn't be surprised if there are many agents that are being these block churches monitoring what they are saying. Now, that's why it goes back to this. It says the people, they will heap on to, it says, and they shall turn away their ears from the truth and shall be turned into fables. This is what's happening right now to our people. They'd be turning unto fables. They go in, they listen to a story, they get some soothing words. It's like a kumbaya moment, or a therapy session. Because that's all it is. Sometimes it just be like, some of these preachers, it seems like they should have like a degree in therapy, or they should, just become a therapist, because they'll soothe your spirit, tell you everything is peaches and cream when there's fire falling down from the sky. And they'll have you believe it, because this is just a, a result of the curses. It's a result of our people just becoming so brainwashed. And again, this also is a prophecy, because it says right here, in Romans 11:25. In Romans 11:25 it says, "For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness," right here, blindness, highlight this, open up your Bible, open up the scripture, read. It says that blindness and part is happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. Now, I just told you what the Gentiles are. I talked about this in, no, not this. Let's see. Let's see. All right, in Genesis 10:2-5, open up your scripture, read it. It says it talks about the sons of Japheth, Gomer and Magog, Madai and Javan and Tubal and Meshach and Tyrus, and the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and so on. And it says on the sons of Japheth, Elisha and Tarshish, Kittim and Dodanim. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands. Guess what? In Ezekiel, it talks about Javan, Tubal, Meshach, that they were thy merchants. They traded persons of men. That's human trafficking, vessels of brass in the market. Do they not control all the world's resources? Do they not control basically Africa when you look at all the minerals and the diamond mines and the cobalt mines? These are all, guess what, European or Asian countries controlling them. So the vessels of brass, that's in when you look at the symbolism of the brass, that's just referring to the world's resources, commodities. Look at the market. Come on now. Isn't that the stock market? Who controls the stock market? Do Israelites, the true Hebrew Israelites, control it? Come on now. They're all European and Asians. So here it is right here. Genesis 10:2-5. In case you had a hard time seeing it from the custom image that I have made, it's right here. The sons of Japheth, Gomer and Magog and Madai and Javan and Tubal and Meshach and Tyrus. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz. Again, I showed you in one of the previous videos, the Ashkenazis, the people that say they're Jewish, they come from this line, Ashkenaz, who is a descendant of Japheth. This is not Shem. This is not Abraham. This is not Jacob, who later became Israel. This is a line of Japheth. And then it says, and Rephath and Tolgamar and the sons of Javan, Elisha and Tarshish, Kittim and Dodanim. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families, and their nations. Again, it's saying who the Gentiles are. Japheth. And then you see the hit list right here. Again, in the previous videos, we went over in the last battle, who is Satan going to go around to the four corners of the earth to gather his army? He's going to go to Magog. This is Japheth. But yet, like I said in my other video when I talked about the Hebrew Israelite camps, they're going around telling you that, no, these Caucasians and all these other people, they don't come from Japheth, they're Esau. Come on now, that's COINTELPRO deception right there. Trying to take us away from being able to expose who these people are. And so the verse was actually, it's not Ezekiel 27:23. I actually got to fix that image. It's Ezekiel 27:13. It says, Javan, Tubal, and Meshach, they were thy merchants. I mean, like I said, open up your Bible, look at Ezekiel, read Ezekiel 27. Just, read the whole chapter for yourself. Javan, Tubal, and Meshach, they were thy merchants. They traded the persons of men and vessels of brass in thy market. Again, as Solomon said, King Solomon, there's nothing new under the sun. It's still going on. Javan, Tubal, and Meshach, I wonder where these people descend from. Well, as we just read, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, all the sons of Japheth, involved in human trafficking, involved in controlling the world's resources, involved in the stock market. I mean, it's just all there, plain to see. Even when you look at the Ashkenazi so-called Jewish families, they even are in China. And when you look at China, China is supposed to be a communist country that's supposed to be, always against the West. But behind the scenes, they're all in it together. They manipulate wars. They have you thinking one side is against the other. Democrats against Republicans. Yet Democrats and Republicans can agree every year to give money to the Ashkenazis, but will not agree on reparations for African Americans. Even Biden, who's a Democrat, was quoted at um, Senator Rob C. Byrd's funeral saying, for a lot of us, he was a friend and he was a mentor and he was a guide. Yet this man was a segregationist who founded a major chapter for the KKK and was against the Civil Rights Act. Him and Biden were close friends. Come on now. You got people, criticizing people like Kanye West and so forth and all these other cats. Yet nobody's saying a dang thing about Joe Biden and what he said in the past. You think this man changed? No, he hasn't. Look at his comments that he makes when he comes to black people. He talks to them like he's talking to a child. I mean, come on now. We always look at the whole blackface. The blackface is Kamala Harris. We see her put in charge. We see people like um the one he made in charge of the Secretary of Defense. Oh wow, yeah, everybody claps their hands, celebrates, and so forth. Those are just house Negroes. It's time that we finally wake up and see what's really happening. When it talks about Zechariah 121. Look at Zechariah 121. It says, Then said I, what come these to do? And he spake, saying, These are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man dare lift up his head. But these are come to fray them, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lifted up their horn over the land of Judah to scatter it. Well, who are the Gentiles? We just talked about it. The Gentiles, right here. The Gentiles, by these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, the sons of Japheth. We just looked at the image. You can clearly see how they control and they manipulate the world, how they oppress the Israelites. It says they scattered the Israelites. Let's go back. Let's look at some information real quick because I really want to highlight this. When it talks about how they were scattered, it said the Gentiles did it. Yet, when you look at who took part in the slave trade, America and Europe. It says in Deuteronomy 28:68, the curses, and Yah shall bring you into Egypt, the land of bondage again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto you. Thou shalt see it no more again. Come on now. The Most High, when it says the Most High shall bring you into Egypt, what it means is that the Israelites, as a result of their sins that they were committing with Baal and with other, these other wicked entities, they were giving up their inheritance being that they belonged to the Most High, that they would follow His laws. When they made that agreement through Moses, when they made the agreement, the covenant, the Mosaic covenant, that we would follow the Most High, in return you would get these blessings. However, if you disobeyed the Most High, if you started following these entities like we see with Baal, going back to Balenciaga and all these other companies and corporations and so forth, and these black churches, if we would disobey, we would be punished. And guess what? The Most High would allow the Gentiles, Japheth, to come in and have power over us. And this is what we see. When you look at the back of the US dollar, you see Egypt going back to the first Exodus. So now we see we're living in the land of bondage globally. Also, I want to highlight, and again, like I said, open up your Bible. Look at your Bible. I don't know which version of the Bible you may have. I use the KJV. I recommend, if you're going to read a Bible, do something like KJV or something older than that, because a lot of these like New Living Translation and New International versions and stuff like that, it just makes it even harder to break down the word, because they just completely change the words. So, obviously use intuition. You have to use you have to use logic, spiritually meditate to gather the complete understanding of the matter. But if you just read in something like a New Living Translations or a New International Version, I mean, I recommend against that. For instance, in Genesis 13:1, when Abraham comes out of Egypt, it says he goes south, but I think it's the New Living Translation that they don't even say he leaves when he leaves out of Egypt, he goes south. It just is completely blank. So it's like you're almost reading a completely different book. So whenever I have like verses, when I make the custom images, I always use KJV. But again, if not using KJV, you know, get something older. But I would definitely want to get these New Age Bibles that have come out after the KJV. So again, this is Hosea 8:1. It says, "Set the trumpet to thy mouth; he shall come as an eagle against the house of Yah." Notice eagle. Where do we see eagle prevalent? We see it prevalent with two things: the Roman Empire, that includes Italy, and also with America, and other European nations also uses the eagle. But I'm just saying, like, as a breakdown of like the major European powers, I mean, America uses the eagle all the time. It's on the dollar, it's on the flag, it's the mascot, it's on the emblem. I mean, it's just everywhere. It's on the presidential seal, as we see right here with Biden talking. You have the eagle here, have the eagle here, have the eagle here. It's just all throughout, everywhere. On the back of the dollar, right next to the Egyptian pyramid, bearing striking resemblance to Horus, which is one of the deities or in the pantheon or whatever of Egypt. Now, it says in Deuteronomy 28:49, and we know that this, when it's saying that he shall come as an eagle, this isn't referring to the African, the ancient African kingdom of Kemet, or now known as Egypt. No, this is referring to America, because during the times of Hosea, they had already come out of Egypt. The Egypt, the African country Egypt. No, this is referring to a new captivity that was coming. Again, in Deuteronomy 28:49, it says, Yah shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. I mean, come on, I'm putting all of this there because it's just so obvious to see. These are like old posters of Negro for sale signs that was throughout America. And again, this would have been all throughout the Caribbean and, likely most of the world, because as I said, slavery was something that happened to a lot of Israelites and it was a global thing. But again, I mean, the eagle, come on, we can see that prevalent throughout America. So, as I said, open up your Bible, find the KJV, go online, look up the KJV Deuteronomy 28, and just read it. Read Deuteronomy 28. Read Hosea 8:1. I'm telling you, it's right there, plain to see. I mean, it's not just here on this image. It's literally in the Bible. And I'll just prove it. Again, let me go to Hosea 8:1. Set the trumpet to thy mouth. He shall come as an eagle against the house of Yah, because they have transgressed my covenant and trespassed against my law. I mean, just look at this. I mean, here's another image I have. Let's see. Where is that image at? Right here. Treatment of slaves in the United States. Families picking cotton. Even to this day, you still have prison labor, or the private prison industry system, whereby, basically once you go into prison, you lose all your rights, whatever little rights we have, and they go back to working on the plantation. This is a picture from the Ferguson unit in Texas. Modern day. It's still happening. But look, this is what I'm talking about. Where it says, and then even in Isaiah 18:1, Isaiah chapter 18, verse 1 through 2, woe to the land shadowing with wings, which is beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, that sendeth ambassadors by the sea, even in vessels of bulrushes upon the waters, saying, go ye swift messengers to a nation scattered and pilled, to a people terrible from the beginning, hitherto, a nation meted out and trodden down, whose land the rivers have spoiled. This was after 70 AD, after the destruction of Israel by the Romans, again, the Romans, the eagle, that Afterwards, they would try to rebuild, but they would still not be the same as they once were during the height, like as in the days of David and King Solomon when their empire was still in Ethiopia. Now they have been scattered already throughout different parts of Africa. We were not united. It was not the same. We did not have the protection cover over us of the Most High. So this is why it says, woe to the land shadowing with wings, which is beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, that sendeth ambassadors by sea. I mean, look what they did to our people. When it says they will come against the house of Yah, I mean, look at what they are having us do. To this day, still having us do it. When we look at this image right here, vessels of bulrushes. It's telling you vessels, ships. In Deuteronomy 28, it literally tells you ships in 68. But people want to make so many other excuses about it. Well, no, look, it's not this, it's not that. Come on now. People just use intuition and logic. A lot of people, they're looking at it from just a mentality that's already been completely butt broken by Babylon, that they cannot see who they are. And this is why, even in my other previous video, where it says that blindness in part has come upon Israel until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled, where it talks about how the shepherds have caused them, again, as I just said in the article that I'm referencing about the black churches in Jeremiah 50 verse 6, it talks about how as the shepherds have led the people astray. Let me go back to it again. I mean, like I said, it's just so easy to see. Anybody should be able to see this. Jeremiah 50, 6, 7. Let's see. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. Again, they have forgotten their resting place. The people, the shepherds, they're not trying to have you return to Ethiopia. They're not trying to have you return to the Most High. They want to keep you gone astray, keep you lost. So again, I just wanted to highlight this so that we could see how these are the Gentiles. Until their fullness has come in, our people are blinded. And we can see that. And this very image is basically summarizes what has happened to our people. Being being fooled by these false shepherds who themselves are puppets of the Gentiles. So now, when you see how many pastors do you know talk about African Americans being the tribe of Judah? How many pastors talk about uniting the two sticks in Africa? How many pastors do you hear talking about Ethiopia being the true land of Israel? How many pastors do you see talking about the second Exodus? Because we have to come out of the land of oppression. And we are, as it says in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 20, and throughout countless other books in the Bible. And even in Revelations, come out of her, my people. How many pastors do you see talking about that? Why does Jeremiah 56 refer to the Israelites as being a lost sheep? How can they be lost when you have a lot of black pastors saying that the true Israelites are living in Israel and that they are the Jewish community? Now you got Jewish communities in New York and other places, but they have a land. How can they be lost? If that's the true land in Palestine, and if those are the true people, the people that basically, when you look at who controls all the corporations, they're all those Jewish, Ashkenazi, and Gentile folk. And they have all the power. How could they be lost? They got everything. And this is where it goes back to Revelations 3:9. How many pastors talk about this? Behold, I will make them of the synagogue saying, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Let me just pull up this picture right here so that you can know who I'm referring to. When you see these people here, people who claim that they are Jews, some that call themselves Ashkenazi and Jews, some say Mizrahi or Sephardic or whatever. These Gentiles, Caucasian people, all of them you see, claiming themselves to be Jews, with living their best life, These are the people right here. All of these people claiming themselves to be Jewish that are from the line of Ashkenaz, the ones that are the elites, I'll say mainly, they will come to worship before thy feet. Why do I say mainly the elites? Because you also got some Jews that they're not elite, that they're not all rich and powerful. They just are as confused as the rest of the folks. Those people also, in a way, will come, but it also prophesies regarding them, saying, Jeremiah 16:19, it says, "O Yah, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction, the Gentiles," again the Gentiles, "shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, Surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit." So you see right here, for those are ones that are just, they're just living their lives. They just don't know. They're the ones that are going to come and they're going to admit, yeah, we are not the true Israelites. Yeah, our forefathers, they they did many wicked things. They were not right. Now we're living sort of like in this twilight zone moment. And when I say twilight zone, between darkness and light, back in the day it was really dark. And when I say really dark, I mean, you could be walking out of a supermarket, you bump into a white man. I mean, that's going to turn to a big issue where law enforcement could possibly be called and you would be thrown in prison. There were I mean, everything was just dark. They thought they were in the right regarding everything, the Gentiles. Now we're coming into this phase where, they can't really do that. I mean, maybe in certain places of Mississippi or something like, that where the law is very vague and, racism is still thick, they can still sort of get away with it. But right now, I'd say we're transitioning into the light where now our people have some freedoms. And this is where it says, "Come out of her, my people," where you have the freedom enough now to come out of her. The Deuteronomy curses 400 years are over. As long as you're living under Babylon, you're going to be oppressed. But now you have the tools for your liberation. So this is why I say we're living in like this twilight period where now you're going to start to see people starting to awaken. As you start seeing people awaken, you're going to have people acknowledging, okay, you are the true Israelites. And I want to highlight that with another verse. In Zechariah 8:23, let's see. It says, "Thus saith Yah of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all the languages of the nations, even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Jew, saying, We will go with you, for we have heard that Yah is with you." So now, saying, "We will go with you, for we have heard that Elohim is with you." So now, obviously, when it's talking about like the skirt, that's referring to the garment, or the tassels of the garment. So it's saying that, yeah, this is what I mean when I say we're kind of like in this twilight era where it's like you're starting to have some people awake and some people coming into the light, people that are not even Israelites coming and realizing, okay, acknowledging who are the Israelites. We're not fully in the light yet because once that happens, then everything changes. This whole Babylonian system will be completely done away with. The Most High's authority will be the only law that there is. So right now we're in that transition phase to where we are arriving there. So this is where I said that it's important that if we had the right shepherds, they would be teaching us this. They would be revealing this knowledge, the truth to us. But we don't. And there's only going to be one shepherd. In these last days, and I'm going to say this again, you can have people that are going to spread information and truth and give people, the bread and break things down for people to understand. But as far as there being a shepherd, like shepherds, multiple shepherds, like it talked about Jeremiah, that day is going to be gone away with. And why do I say that? Jeremiah 31. It says, let's actually go there. So Jeremiah chapter 31, it says right here, if we scroll down, but this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith Yah. I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Yah, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith Yah. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. So there's not going to be shepherds anymore. There will only be one shepherd, which is David and the Lamb. And I'm going to go over this in another video of who the meaning when I say David and the Lamb. You can see this when you read Revelation, how the Lamb leads people to the waters of life. And it also, in regarding David, how it says David will be my shepherd. The will be the shepherd of the Most High's people. So Ezekiel 34:23 it says, And I will set up one shepherd over them, and he shall feed them, even my servant David. He shall feed them, and he shall be their shepherd. So that's why I said there's not going to be all these pastors and stuff like that in the future. And then, no, there's only going to be one shepherd, which is David. And David also being the Lamb. And I'm going to go over in a video how his imperial majesty and Yeshua the Christ are going to be one. To fully explain that, it's going to take a video to really go deeper into detail, and how also we also will become one with them. And this is how it's going to fulfill Jeremiah 31, and that how we will all know the Most High. Going back to this, it says in Jeremiah, let's see, why does Jeremiah 56 refer to Israelites as being a lost sheep? It's a warning. There is no time to lose with teachers who do not know or won't admit that the kingdom of Judah moved from Israel, being in Ethiopia, to West Africa, and it was then destroyed. They were not only just, the kingdom of Judah, but you also had different Israelite kingdoms scattered throughout Africa, but the original kingdom was in Ethiopia. But are these pastors talking about that? Are they talking about how, the Israelites were taken as slaves into the Americas and Caribbean and even the rest of the world? When you look at blackbirding, for people who do not know, those were people, Pacific Islanders, Melanesians, and even, Australian Aboriginals who were taken as slaves. So not only, do you have Israelites scattered in the Americas and Caribbean, they're also been scattered throughout Asia, throughout Oceania and the, Pacific Islands, throughout Europe, throughout America. I mean, it says the Israelites will be scattered to the four corners. So we've been scattered globally. How many pastors do you see talking about that? And like I said, this isn't just for like the standard Protestant churches. This also, I'm talking now about the Orthodox churches. I'm talking about the Catholics. I'm talking about even Hebrew Israelite camps, which I did a video on. A lot of them have been keeping our people suppressed, keeping us from awakening, keeping us from being able to become, to reach our Godhead, to have the Christ consciousness and the Godhead. How many of them are talking about that? It's a lot of things that are going on. But, if you're just a regular, person that's just walking around with the Bible in your hand, a lot of them don't know. So when it comes to Jeremiah 23:16, it says, Thus saith Yah of hosts, do not listen to the words of the prophets who prophesy to you, filling you with vain hopes. They speak visions of their own minds, not from the mouth of Yah. Again, read Jeremiah 23:16. It will tell you. So the prophets here meaning pastors that ignore the racial systemic injustice, that only talk about peace but don't explain how one group of people have more peace and happiness than others. We have been conditioned by saying to accept an inferior status if we are all equal. Why are one group being more discriminated than the other group? I said black and white, but even when you look at our treatment compared to Asians, when our treatment's compared to Hispanics, it's different. Now, when I say that, I'm talking about in the form of, the Israelites, because you have Israelites within the Hispanic community, like Afro Brazilians and Afro Dominicans and so forth, for Afro Hondurans, Afro Salvadorians. When I'm saying, when you look at the Israelites' treatments compared to these other groups, it's different. And nobody wants to talk about it. Well, I won't say nobody, but very few people talk about it. So, in the eyes of these brainwashed pastors, they say that Jesus saved all mankind and we're all equal. So, if that's the case, then why are we, if we're living in these conditions, what does that mean? We were less saved than everybody else? How about having them read Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68? Those are the curses that were happening to our ancestors. And as a result of us still living in the land in captivity, we're still going through many of them now. Other races, you know, when it comes to Deuteronomy 28, they're now all going through them. So now, when it comes to church leadership, I put that they should not close. So now, what do I mean by that? The church leadership, I'm looking at the church as being the people, the tents of Judah, the Israelites. When it comes to us, we have to form our own churches. If the churches cannot get on the right path, cannot get their act together, then we have to form our own churches. And when I say that, I mean spiritually, having an organization that is for the spiritual advancement of our community. We should not neglect or abandon that. There should always be spiritual unity. And that spiritual unity is the true church. So if we form our own organization, if we're coming together, as I talked about in my other video, the Israelite Diaspora Network, we do need to have a spiritual organization. And we do need to focus on spiritual advancement of our community. That is important. So if, like it says, we're not going to be able to rely on these black pastors and these false shepherds, wolves in sheep's clothing, then we have to form them. And it's something that we can do, and it's something that we must do. That's why we need more people that are going to be leaders. And when I say leaders, I don't mean like, they're going to be in the form of like over everyone that, we all have to follow what they say or anything. What I mean by leader is someone that's willing to teach, someone that's willing to instruct, someone that's willing to guide, someone that's willing to help manage, someone that's willing to help organize. We need those types of people. And we need members that are actively participating, playing key roles in getting the youth involved, because help should be 24/7, not just addressing violence in black communities, homelessness, and employment. So help should be 24/7, addressing violence in black communities, addressing homelessness, addressing unemployment. Let's solve them. Let's bring the people of the Most High together and improve our lives. The Israelite community must start their own institutions, their own churches, running hospitals, clinics, schools, farms, transportation, waste management, retail, entertainment, utilities, maintenance, pharmacies, news, media, etc. Everything we need to be independent, self-sufficient. As Kadamawi Haile Selassie said, spirituality is a network linking us to the Most High, the universe, and each other. And as I always said, my information is there for the people that are ready and looking to unite. It's time for us to come together.